Top of the hour, let's get you the big story of the day at the time. When there is raging face-off in India over Operation Sindoor and Donald Trump's repeated assertion that he brokered a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, the US president has now dropped the tariff bomb. He announced 25% tariff on India along with the penalty. Why? Because Trump says it is for buying military equipment and energy from Russia and also being part of the BRICS. Now, 25% US tariff on India will come into effect tomorrow, which is the 1st of August. While making the announcement, Donald Trump says that US has a massive trade deficit with India. Now, after dropping the tariff bomb, however, still continues to maintain that India is a friend. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a friend. However, says that talks are underway, negotiations are underway, and he has called India among the highest tariff nations as he has called Prime Minister his friend. However, saying that the talks with India with regards to trade are still going on.
Mentioned today that India, in addition to its 25% tariff rate, would pay an additional penalty because of its support of Russia. What is that additional penalty? And are other countries facing the same threat?
Well, we're negotiating right now, and it's also BRICS. You know, they have BRICS, which is basically a group of countries that are anti the United States, and India is a member of that, if you can believe it. It's an attack on the dollar, and we're not going to let anybody attack the dollar. So it's partially BRICS, and it's partially the trade, this trade situation. It's the deficit. We had a tremendous deficit. So, as you know, Prime Minister Modi is a friend of mine, but they don't do very much business in terms of business with us. They sell a lot to us, but we don't buy from them. You know why? Because the tariff is so high. They have one of the highest tariffs in the world. Now, they're willing to cut it very substantially, but we'll see what happens. We're talking to India now. We'll see what happens. It doesn't matter too much whether we have a deal or whether we charge them a certain tariff. But you'll know at the end of this week.
Well, let's get a word from Srinjoy now. Srinjoy, good morning. What do we make of this statement? Because he has been saying that there has been a massive trade deficit with India. However, he also goes on to say that India is willing to cut tariffs substantially. Remains to be seen exactly how India responds to this statement. However, has gone on to say that measures are now being taken and has also asserted that they are carefully looking into Donald Trump's statement.
First of all, when you say 25% tariff, does it mean 25%? Or, in that case, why does he say we are still negotiating? Because we know that an American negotiating team will be in India very shortly. So, 25% could well be the opening gambit. Now, if it is the opening gambit, then, of course, negotiations continue between India and America, and these American negotiators and their Indian counterparts will have to sit down and work things out. So 25%, as in the case of Trump in many cases in the past, is not really 25% as yet. We will have to see how this works out. That's really the first thing, because with the president there are a lot of to's and fro's. A lot of times he has imposed tariff on China. If you remember, it came to over 150% or so. And now there is a tariff negotiations going on. So all of this is really is under negotiations. And we will have to see what the final result is.
All right. If that is the opening gambit as far as when it comes to talks are now concerned with regards to a trade deal with the United States, 25% tariff and a penalty that has also been added. Why? Because India trades with Russia. Why? Because India is also part of the BRICS nations, which the US considers it anti-dollar. But as far as the government of India response is concerned, let's put that out, how India has now issued an official response to Donald Trump's tariff announcement, with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry saying that the government has taken note of this statement. Let's put that out for our viewers exactly what the government of India has been saying, that the statement of US President has been noted, and it also says that the government is studying the implications of Donald Trump's announcement. And this is now coming at a time where the statement has added that India remains committed to the objective of fair, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement with the United States, and the government asserts that it will take all steps necessary to secure India's national interest. Now, this is also coming at a time while the Union Minister Piyush Goyal has been asserting that at no point there would be any compromise when it comes to India's national interest. This is the statement by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has been issued post the announcement of Donald Trump, saying that the government has taken note of the statement by US President on bilateral trade. The government is studying its implications. India and the US have been engaged in negotiations on concluding a fair, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement over the last few months, and we remain committed to that objective. The government attaches the utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of our farmers, entrepreneurs and MSMEs, and the government will take all steps necessary to secure our national interest, as has been the case with other trade agreements, including the latest comprehensive economic and trade agreement which has happened with the United Kingdom as well. Let's get in a word from Rishabh now, who's also connected with us. Rishabh, good morning. It was earlier this month where Piyush Goyal said that India does not enter into any trade agreement based on deadlines and will only accept proposed trade deal with the US only when it is finalized, properly concluded and in the Indian national interest.
Well, definitely now that 25% tariff has been, slapped on India with more penalties for, purchases from Russia as well. Government of India has come out with a statement which clarifies that India has taken a note of the statement made by the President of the United States, but for India, the national interest as well as the interest of the MSME, small business holders, and the homegrown business holders are paramount, and that is something that will always be considered to get into any trade deal. And it also mentions the India-UK free trade agreement, where it says that we have taken care of India's national interest as well as India's business interest in making that deal as well, and hence we will try and sort this out as well. Now, the statement has come in from Donald Trump that there could be a possible deal over the weekend as well. So it is very interesting. We'll have to wait and see how this unfolds from here. A 25% tariff with an added penalty on India, trade deal with Pakistan, deal with South Korea now. So things are dynamic and one cannot. So between the two live broadcasts, things are changing, Amita. So definitely things are dynamic, and next 36 hours that we have been discussing since last evening would be very, very crucial for India-US ties.
All right. Where as far as Donald Trump is concerned, he's been claiming that trade deals with multiple countries are underway. However, with regards to India, he mentions that a 25% tariff when it comes to a massive trade deficit with India, an additional penalty that is also being levied as far as India's connect with Russia is concerned, and also being part of the BRICS nations. Now, meanwhile, what we are getting to know as far as fresh bombshell that has now been dropped by the Trump Sarkar, US has decided to sanction 6 Indian firms over Iranian oil purchases. Now, the United States has imposed sanctions on at least half a dozen Indian companies accused of trading in Iranian petroleum and petrochemicals as part of broader action targeting 20 entities worldwide. The US Department of State announced the sanctions, alleging that Indian firms knowingly engaged in significant transactions for the purchase and marketing of Iranian petroleum products, violating American sanctions on Iran. Now, the sanctioned Indian companies include some of the country's major petrochemical traders. Let's get in a word from Srinjoy on this. Srinjoy, is this arm twisting by the United States as far as these sanctions on 6 Indian firms over Iranian oil purchases are concerned?
Well, this is definitely something that India and America will have to sit together and work out, because India would not like these sanctions to be there on Indian firms. And these firms often deal with other countries. We don't know as yet whether there is a relationship with Iran vis-a-vis these 6 companies. But what must be recognized is it's entirely possible that these firms also deal with other countries in other parts of the world, including America. So it's important for the 2 countries to sit together and work these things out. because while this has happened, this has been imposed by the State Department of the United States. We must find a solution to this problem, and it is incumbent on the Indian diplomatic community and the US to sit down and negotiate and decide on these things, because this is not such a huge problem, but it could become one in the future, and this has to be avoided as quickly as possible.
Well, under the sanctions, all of the assets of these companies in the United States are controlled by the US persons now are frozen, and American individuals and companies are prohibited from conducting businesses with the sanctioned entities. So is thin as far as this action that has now been initiated by the United States of America. But on this tariff bomb that has been dropped by Donald Trump, the opposition in India has been quick to jump to conclusions. They are calling it as a catastrophic failure of Modi government's foreign policy. Congress leaders have taken on the Prime Minister, saying that he campaigned for Donald Trump. Ab ki baar Trump Sarkar slogans that hit, hugged him, shook hands, but all in vain. What India got in return, what did it gain from this friendship, are the questions that are now being asked by the opposition.
ये तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को और भारत को एक बहुत बड़ा धक्का है। तारीफ ही तारीफ में टैरिफ लग गया। हाउडी मोदी, नमस्ते ट्रंप, इसका कोई फायदा नहीं। तो हमारे लिए, हमारे देश के लिए, हमारे अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए, प्रधानमंत्री के लिए ये बहुत बहुत बड़ा धक्का है।
ये सवाल प्रधानमंत्री जी से कीजिए। हम अंधेरे में हैं, लेकिन उनके साथ इस देश के मिजाज के साथ कोई समझौता नहीं होना चाहिए। आज जो सरकार में है, कल नहीं होंगे, लेकिन ये महासागर की चरित्र वाला देश है, इसको कोई गदला करने की कोशिश करे, ये बर्दाश्त।
It is very unfortunate, but certainly it needs a total study as to how it will impact India, and certainly the government of India will take cognizance of this issue.
The government of India should not buckle down under the pressure, and they should tell that we are a sovereign nation and we are independent. If you want any kind of a trade deal, you are welcome. If you don't want, we also don't want to have any kind of a business with you. So India should take a firm stand.
सीज़फायर के लिए वो लोग भारत को मजबूर किया सीज़फायर करने के लिए, ट्रेड टॉक्स की तसल्ली देके कि ट्रेड टॉक्स में आपकी मदद करेंगे। आज के दिन पता चल रहा है कि जो टैरिफ्स है वो 25% लागू किए, देश के हित में बिल्कुल ही नहीं है। टैरिफ का जो 25% स्लैब हमें लागू किया गया है।
दोस्त ना रहा, प्यार ना रहा। That sort of approach of attitude is of Donald Trump.
The tariff issue is a serious issue. I think trade talks will on between the Commerce Minister and the different countries across the world, even including America. I think we should protect our interests of our country and take a call accordingly.
Well, Sabyasachi is also connected with us. Sabyasachi, good morning. Now, as far as the tariff bomb that has been dropped by Donald Trump, does it seem that the opposition will get, when it comes to a topic or an issue to take on the government in Parliament today?
Well, definitely. See, the opposition is going to raise the issue as far as foreign policy is concerned. See, before the start of the monsoon session, when the India bloc had called for a meeting, in that meeting, one of the agendas which was decided by all the political parties was to have a discussion on the foreign policy, because the opposition was of the view that the foreign policy is continuously deteriorating under the present government. Now, yesterday, in fact, immediately after Donald Trump had issued 25% tariff for India, we had seen that strong statement coming in from the opposition side, whereas the opposition didn't shy away from attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi, stating that the friendship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with US President Donald Trump did not mean anything for the US President, and at the end, the US President had imposed the tariff despite Prime Minister Narendra Modi campaigning for US President Donald Trump. Now, the opposition is of the view that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the government should come out strong and should protect the sovereignty of the nation. In fact, the opposition is of the view that United States is punishing India because it is not entirely dependent on the United States, and that is the reason why the US is attacking the sovereignty of our country. And at this particular time, there should be protests, there should be strong statement coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because in the past the opposition has been stating that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP government has been keeping quiet on the several claims that has been made by Donald Trump and the insult that has been made by Donald Trump, just because that the tariff is not imposed by the United States. But now the tariff, since the tariff has been imposed, it is high time that Prime Minister Narendra Modi...
The opposition has been calling it as a dhakka or a setback. The opposition has been saying that dost na raha, and the Prime Minister would rather speak up, saying that it is time that India regains its political autonomy, economic sovereignty and also moral authority by standing tall and pursuing an independent foreign policy. Remains to be seen if this issue is now being raised in the parliament by the opposition as well. But